Welcome back to Respoiled. Today, I have another captivating story to share with you. But before we dive in, if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications, so you'll never miss out on all of my latest uploads. Now let's get started. In this alternate Earth, everyone acquires a superpower at 18, ranging from flying to controlling elements. At 25, Jen remains powerless, causing bitterness. During a job interview, she faces a boss with truth-inducing abilities, leading to embarrassing revelations and a missed opportunity. In the evening, Jen connects with her casual partner, Luke, who promptly flies away after their encounter. Feeling unappreciated, Jen reflects on his repetitive behavior. The following day, Jen's roommate, Carrie, is at her job in a lawyer's office. Her power enables dead souls to temporarily inhabit her body, aiding lawyers in solving cases, though it often angers clients. Upon returning home, Jen discovers a lost cat and welcomes it inside. Later, she encounters Carrie's boyfriend, Cash, trying on a homemade superhero suit, prompting Jen to tease him. Embarrassed, Cash reverses time using his power to avoid Jen's ridicule. When Carrie arrives, she confides in Jen about the stress of dealing with clients, expressing her inability to quit due to supporting Cash until he secures a job. To lighten the mood, Carrie impersonates Hitler for a laugh. Later, Carrie goes on a date with Gordon, who declines to shake her hand without a glove due to his ability to induce instant climax through touch. Despite a pleasant dinner, when they return to Jen's place, Gordon opts not to use his power, aiming to demonstrate his ability to connect naturally. Their intimate encounter, conducted with gloves on, disappoints Jen, who pretends to enjoy it. Gordon, cautious even in sleep, erects a pillow barrier between them. Meanwhile, Cash and Carrie encounter an invisible thief who demands Carrie's belongings. Instead of reversing time, Cash throws his wallet at the thief and pulls Carrie away to escape. Later, Cash confesses that defending against the robber felt empowering, inspiring him to pursue being a real superhero. The following morning, Jen hesitates to touch Gordon but is interrupted when the cat leaps onto the bed and touches Gordon, causing a commotion. Repulsed, Gordon leaves, citing incompatibility with Jen. At breakfast, they agree to keep the cat and humorously name him Jizzlord for his behavior on the bed. In the evening, Jen hails a cab to attend her half-sister's birthday bash. The driver possesses the ability to foresee people's deaths but declines to share specifics, advising Jen to be wary of bears instead. En route, her father calls, urging her to be a supportive sibling. At the party, Jen reunites with her mom Mary, who commands technology but struggles with it, and her partner Ian, who senses emotions. Andy, Jen's half-sister, is celebrating her 18th birthday, sparking tension when Jen mentions Andy may not develop powers. Ian steps in to use his ability and defuse the situation. When Andy blows the candles, she anticipates her powers, but nothing occurs. Jen feels smug until Andy inadvertently tears the fridge door off. Andy revels in her newfound super strength, while Jen, feeling bitter, departs with a drink in hand. In that moment, Jen resolves to visit Luke, who has been ignoring her messages. She discovers him dining with another woman, who has the power to shape-shift but rarely does, hinting at her natural beauty, which annoys Jen. Later, Luke takes the woman for a flight, prompting Jen to demand the same. However, the trip is brief, and Luke ends their affair, citing Jen's inability to love herself. On her way home, Jen seeks solace from her father, only to realize he has passed away. Carrie summons his ghost for support. The following day, Jen and Carrie explore treatments at the Discovery Clinic to awaken Jen's powers, but they're prohibitively expensive. That night, while Jen sleeps, Jizzlord briefly transforms into a human before reverting to a cat. Jen attempts to trigger her powers through stress by dining with friends and eating the spiciest dish, but fails and rushes to the store to gulp down a bottle of milk. Luke witnesses the embarrassing moment captured by security cameras. The next day, Carrie drags Jen to the dentist to induce stress. Jen tries to flee but is coerced inside, where they hear ominous music. The dentist's power creates soundtracks based on patients' emotions. Jen's shifts from ominous to relaxing as the dentist demonstrates gentleness. However, Jen learns she needs fillings, causing her music to turn scary again. To ease her anxiety, the dentist administers medication. Meanwhile, Cash reaches out to an agency to seek superheroes. In another room, Jizzlord transforms into a man again but struggles to walk normally. He scratches the door to alert Cash, but by the time Cash arrives, Jizzlord has turned back into a cat. Meanwhile, Jen completes her appointment feeling dizzy. Carrie leads her outside, where they encounter a masked man who appears to abduct Jen, pushing her into the trunk. It turns out to be Cash, who orchestrated the fake kidnapping with Carrie to increase Jen's stress. The couple pauses for lunch, allowing Jen to endure her discomfort. In her dazed state, Jen leaves a voicemail for Luke expressing her love. Cash and Carrie are so preoccupied that they overlook the fact that their car is being towed until it's too late. Carrie contacts Jen to request her pinned location, prompting the couple to hurry to the car lot. Cash confesses that the car belongs to his mother, and lacking a license, he cannot legally retrieve it. They sneak into the impound lot but realize they lack the car key. As the medicine's effects wear off, Jen begins to panic. They call Andy for help, who demands a polite request from Jen. Jen pretends to be polite, and Andy effortlessly removes the trunk hood. Jen attempts to fight Andy, prompting Carrie to intervene and keep the sisters separated. They hear a car horn, and the girls see Mary and Ian arriving to pick them up. Mary scolds her daughter, and Jen recalls leaving a voicemail for Luke, requesting her mom to delete it. Despite her efforts, Mary can't control her power and plays the message through the car's speakers. Andy suggests Jen spam Luke to distract him from the voicemail. When Jen arrives home, she starts taking risque pictures to send to Luke. Suddenly, she witnesses Jizzlord transforming into a man, causing her to panic and flee the room. However, she also ponders whether she has the ability to transform animals by revealing her chest to them. Her friends join her, and the man explains he's a shapeshifter trapped in his cat form. Then he embraces Cash, pleased that humans can see his true face again, while also disclosing that he has amnesia. The trio persists in calling him Jizzlord and poses a few questions, listening to the few things he recalls and deducing that he's been a cat for about 3 years. Jen resolves that they should keep him until he regains his memory. At that moment, Jen receives a text from Luke, who has viewed the pictures but also listened to the voicemail, so he finds Jen strange. Later that night, Jen takes a walk and encounters a dog, so she exposes her chest to test her theory. The dog remains unchanged, and its owner catches sight of Jen as well. The next morning, the friends discover that Jizzlord has forgotten how to use many basic household objects, so he will need significant assistance. At work, Carrie channels the soul of a renowned singer who rejects a contract to have her music played in elevators on cruise ships and, instead, expresses a desire to return to the music industry. Following the meeting, the manager presents Carrie with an offer. She can collaborate with them by channeling departed celebrities to revive their singing careers, and Carrie gladly agrees. When she arrives at the recording studio, she calls Jen and requests her presence for moral support, assuring her that she will be compensated for it. This inspires Jen, and she arrives at the studio posing as Carrie's manager, securing a lucrative deal for her. During the recording session, Carrie channels the desired singer, only to find he's difficult to work with and holds misogynistic views. The spirit even requests Jen's assistance in remembering his lyrics. After he vanishes, Carrie searches for his songs, discovering they are all racist and misogynistic. Unsettled, Carrie considers quitting, but Jen persuades her to stay for the financial benefit. Carrie modifies the songs in the hope that the forgetful ghost won't notice, aiming to make them less offensive. However, the singer strongly objects to the positive changes, causing a disruptive scene that leads to Carrie and Jen's immediate dismissal. Meanwhile, Cash interviews several candidates for his superhero team. Seb, despite being unable to control sea creatures he summons, impresses with his ability to make a fish fly through a window. Despite Ade's mishap of getting his hand stuck in a wall due to his ability to move through solid objects, Cash recruits him due to his talents, as well as his family's wealth. A woman exhibits magnet powers, inadvertently attracting every object in the house due to her lack of control. Cash rejects her, along with the individual who can transform anything into a PDF and the person whose eye lasers are ineffective. Randall showcases his ability to 3D print objects using his rear, crafting a small figurine as a demonstration. Lastly, Gregor demonstrates his superspeed by swiftly retrieving a postcard from the British Museum in just 1 second. Afterward, Cash prepares for the first official meeting when Jizzlord unexpectedly presents him with a dead pigeon. To prevent embarrassment in front of the others, Cash sends Jizzlord to buy groceries. However, at the store, Jizzlord becomes overwhelmed, fainting at the sight of female products. The clerk promptly assists him and provides a book on women's anatomy to help him understand the products. Meanwhile, Cash meets with his new superhero companions and observes Gregor assuming control of the writing on the board. Gregor is quite vocal, and Cash senses he might be vying for leadership. After Randall showcases his unique ability, they debate how they would handle rescuing a woman. Gregor asserts he should lead because he respects all women, whereas Cash argues he's more qualified due to his expertise in women's anatomy. Seb sketches female anatomy on the board and challenges Cash to identify specific areas, which Cash struggles to do. Fortunately, Jizzlord returns and aids him, ensuring Cash retains his leadership role. Upon Carrie and Jen's return, they hear peculiar sounds and discover Cash and Jizzlord engaged in a game fashioned from female products, prompting them to join in. Later, the Magnet Woman returns for her umbrella and inadvertently becomes magnetically attached to Jizzlord, indicating he's microchipped. The group opts to visit Dr. Doolittle, a veterinarian with the ability to converse with animals. His stress is notably elevated due to the incessant sounds of their distress, prompting him to wear headphones for relief. Upon Jen's arrival with Jizzlord, Doolittle promptly locates the microchip and provides them with the previous owner's address. Meanwhile, Cash and Carrie are engrossed in their work when Cash abruptly receives a mission text from his new team. Cash informs Carrie they can resume later, leaving Carrie feeling hurt. Cash decides to rewind time to say something nicer, but still leaves. Carrie seeks distraction by cleaning Jen's room, prompting Jen to realize that Cash hasn't fulfilled Carrie's needs lately. Meanwhile, Jen finds Luke's sock and sends him a picture, also coming across Gordon's glove. Jen suggests Carrie should approach Gordon and request his powers, but Carrie declines, refusing to cheat. Later, Jen and Jizzlord reach the address from the microchip, discovering the owner is deceased. They hear Tito the Pomeranian bark, and Jizzlord describes him as evil, indicating he's encountered him previously. The pair opts to take Tito from his owner and bring him to Doolittle, who interprets the dog's message. Tito despises Jizzlord and won't cooperate unless they grant him his dream day out. Doolittle requires a break as well, so he accompanies them. They end up in a club where Tito relishes the attention from beautiful women. The rest indulge heavily and even take some uppers. During a private dance where a woman duplicates herself, Jen and Jizzlord feel uncomfortable and hold hands for support. Doolittle becomes so intoxicated that he starts bothering the dancers, leading the bouncers to eject the group. Fortunately, Tito is joyful and reveals he often encountered Jizzlord in an alley behind a renowned pub. He then requests freedom, but tragically, he's struck by a car after a few steps. Jen and Jizzlord investigate the alley for clues, where Jizzlord astounds himself by recalling the pub's menu. Jen suggests entering the building to locate the landlady, but Jizzlord panics and flees. Simultaneously, Cash's superhero team attempts to assist a person on the street, inadvertently frightening her and triggering her goo power, leading to her anger. At the same time, a man seeks help as he's locked out of his apartment, and they select aid for the mission. He must undress to use his power, and while attempting to pass through the wall, he becomes stuck, exposing his rear. Gregor opts to leave Cash with aid and takes the rest to a bar. Shortly after, Cash receives a call from Gregor seeking assistance, prompting him to hurry and find the team, leaving Aid by himself. The group faces a challenging brawl outside the bar, and Gregor urges Cash to rewind time to prevent it. However, Cash's ability only allows a 10-second rewind, which proves insufficient despite multiple attempts. Suddenly, a thug targets Cash, who feigns ignorance of the others and flees the scene. Back at home, Carrie reaches her breaking point regarding her dissatisfaction and visits Gordon under the pretext of returning his glove. Tearfully, she implores him for assistance, but when Gordon extends his hand, Carrie confesses her inability to proceed. To make amends, she praises Gordon as a hero for his aid, uplifting his spirits significantly, and motivating him to assist other women thereafter. As Carrie reconnects with Cash, Jen encounters Jizzlord outside their apartment and informs him about the dead end at the pub. They share their apprehensions about uncovering their true identities, and just as they're about to deepen their connection, they're interrupted by a text from Luke requesting his sock. The following day, Aid remains stuck on the wall, visible to everyone. Meanwhile, Jen and Carrie visit their old high school to witness Andy's graduation. Carrie can't help but imagine how a perfect graduation ceremony would have felt like. When another student's mother approaches the family, Mary pretends that Jen can read minds. However, the lie backfires when Jen laughs while the woman attempts to telepathically inform her about a deceased teacher. Ian senses someone nearby is distressed, prompting him to blindfold himself to enhance his power and locate that person. Frustrated, Jen pulls Carrie into a closet to drink the alcohol they hid there years ago. Suddenly, they panic upon hearing Rebecca's voice, the girl who used to harass them in high school. However, she's now very nice and works as a teacher. Rebecca shares that she can revisit memories, leading her to realize her past behavior and become a better person. Jen remains skeptical and requests money as an apology. After Rebecca pays, she notices Carrie's tension and invites her to the staff room for tea. Alone, Rebecca highlights Jen's past behavior towards Carrie, showing school memories. On the day Carrie was to receive an award, Jen made her stay for moral support while she took a pregnancy test. During graduation, Jen borrowed Carrie's gown but didn't return it, ruining Carrie's picture. Rebecca advises Carrie to assert herself. Meanwhile, Jen hides in the bathroom, drinking, and overhears Andy conversing with her girlfriend. Andy confesses to lying about entering the conservatoire in her breakup, both due to her super strength. Once the ex departs, Jen confronts Andy, who promises to do anything to keep the secret. The sisters rejoin the party, and Jen compels Andy to perform the family dance, much to her embarrassment. Later, Jen hands Andy a humiliating speech to deliver. During Andy's acceptance speech, she reads the embarrassing words, becoming enraged. In retaliation, she mocks her sister, prompting Jen to expose her secrets. Andy, devastated, flees in tears, and Ian realizes that the distressed individual he sensed was his own daughter. During Carrie's turn to speak, she struggles as Jen's family argument echoes into the auditorium. Carrie acknowledges that Rebecca had been accurate about Jen and retreats to the bathroom to seek solace. Just then, Jen enters and begins venting about her life, prompting Carrie to reach her breaking point and confront her about her selfish behavior, emphasizing that lacking powers doesn't justify being a negative person. A dispute erupts, and Carrie flees, leaving Jen in tears by herself. Meanwhile, back at the apartment, Jizzlord encounters a dejected Cash in the bathtub, burdened by guilt over his behavior the previous night. Jizzlord attempts to lift his spirits by combing his hair and sharing videos of penguins stumbling, but their browsing session reveals a viral recording of Cash fleeing the altercation, plunging his mood once more. In the days that follow, Jen and Carrie maintain silence between them, relying on Jizzlord to mediate. One morning, Jen discovers red dots marking most of the apartment's items, indicating Carrie's effort to restrict Jen's usage. Left with few options as she rarely purchased items for the home, Jen settles for a red onion for breakfast. Later, Jen heads to a discovery clinic, resolved to undergo the necessary tests. While completing the paperwork, she encounters Hannah, a fellow woman in her 20s without powers. The two head to a bar and connect over their shared experiences of powerlessness. Later, they encounter a woman capable of changing her hair color, provoking bitterness. In response, they impulsively cut off her ponytail in the bathroom as a prank, only to realize they targeted the wrong person and hastily flee the scene. At the apartment, Carrie discovers Cash's embarrassing video and advises him to apologize to his friends and make amends. Cash agrees and sets out to find his teammates. Taking the opportunity, Jizzlord asks Carrie about the reason behind the rift between her and Jen. As Carrie vents her frustrations about Jen, she stumbles upon their puzzle collection, reminiscing about the joyous moments they shared while working on them, regretting that they couldn't finish them together. When Jen returns, she announces she has a new best friend and insists that the jigsaw collection belongs to her. In response, Carrie refuses to summon Jen's dad anymore. Meanwhile, Cash visits Seb, who plans to go to Florida to get away from what happened. Cash apologizes and gives him some chocolate, which moves Seb to tears. Seb asks to join Cash on the trip. Cash and Seb go to see Aid, who accepts Cash's apology and supports the idea of reuniting the team. Then, they visit Gregor, where Cash attempts to apologize, but they find out Gregor and Randall have formed a new team with the other rejects. Gregor mocks his former teammates, angering Cash, who challenges him to a fight. With Gregor's super speed, Cash loses quickly. Ultimately, Cash decides to rewind time and punch Gregor as soon as he opens the door. He invites Randall to join them. Later, Jen meets with Hannah and is shocked to hear she won't go to the clinic anymore. The girls decide to spend the day having fun together and discuss the idea of forming a group for those with no powers while shooting toy darts at flying people. At that moment, Luke flies by and Jen hides the toy gun, upsetting Hannah. To make it up to her, Jen agrees to sneak into the clinic to trash the offices, even relieving herself on a desk. Suddenly, Hannah disappears and discovers she has teleportation powers. When Jen gets jealous, Hannah promises nothing will change between them. However, when a guard finds them, Hannah immediately disappears. Afterward, at the apartment, Jen checks social media and is upset to discover Hannah is hanging out with Luke. Jizzlord tells her that Carrie wants to finish the puzzle together, suggesting they reconcile. Jen visits Carrie, and they begin working on the puzzle, initially feeling awkward but gradually repairing their friendship. The following day, Carrie accompanies Jen to the clinic to complete the paperwork. Attempting to be less self-centered, Jen inquires about Carrie's concerns, and Carrie admits that since Cash has his team back, their relationship is strained. Afterward, Jen attempts to sell her eggs to fund the treatment, but there are no buyers interested. Watching Jizzlord gives her an idea. He could enter a cat show and win with his human intelligence. However, Jizzlord declines to transform because he fears getting stuck again. Meanwhile, Carrie returns to her job at the firm and channels Charles II, who persistently flirts with her. Carrie is flattered and fascinated by him, so later at home, she summons him again, and they spend the whole afternoon chatting. She uses a mirror to show Charles how she looks, and he flatters her even more. Afterward, she tries to have a whole date day with Cash, but he has a mission and promises to see her later. Disappointed, Carrie decides to take Charles's ghost to the museum, where he sees the paintings they've done of him. Charles starts flirting with her, and Carrie almost kisses his portrait, but a guard stops her just in time. Carrie goes home and hears Jen scream as she discovers Jizzlord has eaten cat food to transform again. He left a recording agreeing to go to the cat show. When they register, Jen uses the cat's name from the chip, and everyone gets excited because this cat was always popular in the contest. Jen finds old show videos and learns Jizzlord used to dance. She tries to teach him the moves now, but he doesn't understand. Feeling discouraged, she considers giving up. However, after listening to Jizzlord's supportive message again, she decides to make him proud and devises a plan. During the performance, Jen tries to get the cat to jump through a hoop, but he refuses. Then she starts dancing, and Jizzlord becomes human to dance with her. They have a great time dancing together, but the judges don't like it, so they leave. While leaving, Jizzlord tries to apologize, but Jen kisses him. In an abandoned building, Cash's team encounters Gregor's team. They argue until they hear footsteps and hide in a cupboard. Hours pass, and the teams refuse to come out because Cash prioritizes his ego over his date, prompting the others to mock him. Meanwhile, Carrie enjoys dinner with Charles II at the apartment. As things escalate, Cash arrives and declares his departure from the superhero business, much to Carrie's delight. However, when Cash opts for pizza and YouTube over their relationship, Carrie begins to question their compatibility. The next day, newspapers report that both superhero teams collaborated to defeat the dealers. Jen wakes up and finds Jizzlord painting their bedroom wall, assuming they're a couple living together. After explaining it's moving too fast, Jen and Carrie talk. Jen talks to her dad and advises Carrie to be honest with Cash. Carrie attempts to break up, but Cash plans a party for her, so she postpones it. In the evening, Carrie is touched by Cash's decorations, but Jen reminds her to assert herself. Jen is surprised to find Mary criticizing the room and her appearance. Annoyed, she directs Mary to talk to another guest, who happens to be Gordon, appearing more confident. Mary converses with Jizzlord, who reveals Jen's financial situation. Mary feels hurt that Jen didn't confide in the family. Meanwhile, Carrie expresses to Cash that she feels more like his mom than his girlfriend. Cash asks for a solution, so Carrie suggests he get a job. He rewinds time and feigns a phone call about setting up an interview, leaving her impressed. Once she's gone, Cash hides with Randall in the bathroom to avoid the breakup conversation. Cash has been awake for 28 hours and used his power to rewind time whenever Carrie tried to break up with him. Randall gives him an energy drink to sustain his power, and they buy numerous cans. Jen observes from a distance until she encounters Luke, concerned because she hasn't responded to his texts. Jizzlord suddenly intervenes, presenting himself as Jen's boyfriend. She takes him aside, reprimanding him for moving too quickly and stating they need some time apart. Meanwhile, Cash informs her that someone is in her room, prompting Jen to find her mom hacking into her computer. An argument ensues about their troubled relationship, but tensions ease when the discussion turns to Jen's deceased father. Feeling remorseful, Jen invites Mary to stay. Simultaneously, Cash attempts to dance with Carrie, who notices a withered flower in his pocket. Her own flower remains intact, leading Cash to realize he has been rewinding time frequently. Carrie and Jen hide together and express their frustrations about Cash, unaware that Jizzlord is leaving the apartment permanently. Jen confides in Carrie about the energy drinks, prompting Carrie to dispose of the cans in the toilet while Jen sends Cash to observe her. Tearfully, Carrie finally ends the relationship, and despite Cash's attempts to rewind time, he cannot prevent the breakup. Meanwhile, Jen feels elated when Luke proposes to take her flying, but he declines to do so publicly and leads her outside. He then voices his grievances about Jizzlord, leading Jen to realize he's simply envious. Realizing Jizzlord's importance, she breaks up with Luke and rejoins the party. Anxious when Jizzlord disappears, Jen rushes outside, chasing a cat in the rain. Apologizing to the cat, she whimsically asks it to be her boyfriend, until Jizzlord surprises her. They share a passionate kiss and return home, where Jen introduces Jizzlord as her boyfriend. Mary wishes to assist her daughter with the clinic, but it's financially out of reach for her as well. Gordon intervenes and offers the money, having amassed wealth from selling his services. The girls embrace in celebration, and Jizzlord hugs Gordon, inadvertently staining his pants. The following morning, Jizzlord visits the grocery store, where a girl identifies him as her father. The mother reacts with shock, dropping her groceries upon recognizing his face. Don't forget to like, subscribe and enable notifications for more content like this. Thank you for watching.